Welcome back to NTV News First Edition. If you're feeling anxious lately over world and domestic politics, you're not alone. Many Canadians are experiencing increased anxiety over politics, with concerns about the federal Liberal leadership and an upcoming election, as well as Trump's threats of making Canada the 51st state. Add to this, trying to speak with friends and family members who share differing views can push your anxiety levels to their peak. So what can we do? Well, joining us now to talk or give us some tips, I should say, is Dr. Janine Hubbard with this week's Get Psyched. Hello, Dr. Janine.
Good evening. And if anybody has suggestions and strategies, I'm all ears, because I think this is really tough on all of us.
It is. It definitely is reverberating through everyone I know. So, but how can we manage our anxiety in the face of ongoing political uncertainty and threats? Is there anything that you could give us a little bit of hope there?
For sure. And some of it, I was just saying in the newsroom before we started, it feels like Charlie Brown and Lucy and the football, in terms of we just keep moving targets and we don't know what to expect. And here's the thing, uncertainty is one of the biggest triggers for anxiety. Even if things are happening that are difficult or, really hard to hear or are going to impact us financially, if we know what's happening, we're then able to work on coping strategies. But constantly changing and evolving information and the uncertainty of, well, what might come tomorrow, is going to heighten anxiety in most of us. So there are a few things that we can do. And obviously I'm saying this knowing that some people are being more directly impacted than others. So I always like to give that caveat. And this is one of the things that I know you guys here in the newsroom can't do, but as much as possible, pace yourself in terms of the exposure to media. I personally found this week I didn't watch any of the announcements live because processing it in real time and again waiting for the what's coming next, I found was going to be too difficult for myself before bedtime. So I very deliberately chose some mindless reality TV counter programming, went to bed early, and then hit the headlines the next morning in a way that didn't quite have the same impact. And I reached out, I had a couple of friends and family say, oh, actually, here's the little bit you should watch because this is really good. So it helped me to kind of filter the news that I was watching. Same thing, I mean, you guys hear me say this constantly, social media, partly because you get all the biases and different things that come through, but it's more that information comes unexpectedly. So you might be thinking you're watching your lovely, friendly cat videos, and then all of a sudden, you're either hearing a really view that doesn't support your own or news that is breaking. And then, so avoiding, and then the other thing, remember we're feeling it's unpredictable, raises anxiety. The one thing that can really help control anxiety is to feel like you have some sense of control, because most of this, we can't do anything about it. It's why you've seen the Buy Canadian movement take on so much. I'll be honest, my own joy this week has been learning about elbows up, thank you, Mike Myers, which is like the most Canadian phrase I think I've ever heard. And yesterday we had Jeff Douglas come out with the We Are Canadian that I think has helped to unify the country in some really amazing ways and help us to feel less isolated, less alone in our anxiety. And so yes, buying Canadian as much as you can, connecting with others, feeling a sense of national pride and patriotism, those are things that are within our control. And if they're things that make you feel a little less anxious, go for it.
Well, that's incredible. We got time for one more question. And so that's such good advice, and taking control where you can. But what about when you're coping with other people, discussing politics with friends and family who may have differing views? How do you kind of cope with and tackle that?
Well, this has been so polarizing on so many levels. I think part of it is know your audience. And be very careful about expressing strong political views if you're not sure that the people around you, may be there to provide support. It's always helpful to hear the opposing view if it can be done in a respectful way, and it's information sharing, not a value judgment. And the problem is a lot of politics involve value judgments, and you look at your friends or your loved ones and kind of go, I'm losing respect for you because of the way that you feel, and they may be doing the same to you. So there are certainly cases where it's one of those, you know what? let's agree to not talk about this unless it's something that is having an immediate impact on our family and needs us to actively do something about this. And otherwise, sometimes it's best keep to really neutral subjects and agree to disagree. As hard as this is, because, like I say, some of the other political things may be less polarizing. You may have a preference for a candidate for premier, but it probably isn't going to divide a family in the same way some of the other topics are. So just be mindful, respectful of the opinions of others, but if you're not going to convince them otherwise. So it's not worth the battle, it's not worth the fight, and it's not worth the loss of respect and the challenges within a relationship.
Fantastic. That is such great advice. Thank you so very much. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. I always learn something new, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, Amanda.